Most people think becoming king means unlimited freedom, more power, more privilege, more control. But what if I told you Prince William was just forced to give up one of the most normal, harmless habits of his life? Not because of scandal, not because of controversy, but because of where he chose to live. And the real reason behind it reveals how little freedom the future king actually has. The future king of England is expected to live by tradition, power, and privilege. But sometimes even he gets told no, not because of politics, not because of royal drama, but because of a simple rule that quietly ended one of his most most out habits. And the reason why says far more about Prince William's life than most people realize. For a while, Prince William had a habit that didn't fit the royal image at all. No grand motorcade, no formal procession, just him casually riding an electric scooter around Windsor Castle and the surrounding grounds. It was unexpected, almost jarring, and that's exactly why it made headlines. Seeing a future king zip past ancient stone walls on a scooter felt human in a way royal life rarely does. It wasn't polished or ceremonial. It was practical, a little funny, and oddly relatable. People didn't see a monarch in waiting. They saw a busy dad trying to get from one meeting to the next without being late. That image became even more memorable when it showed up on camera. During an episode of Apple TV's The Reluctant Traveler, Eugene Levy stood there visibly stunned as Prince William rolled up on an electric scooter. You could hear the disbelief in Levy's voice when he laughed and asked if this was really how William got around. The reaction said everything. This wasn't what anyone expected from royalty. William didn't dodge the moment or play it off. He leaned into it, smiling as he explained that around Windsor, this just made sense. He joked about always running late, about needing something quick and efficient to get him to meetings inside the castle. That single exchange did more for his public image than a dozen formal speeches ever could. It made him feel real. But while that moment looked carefree on screen, change was already brewing behind the scenes. Around the same time, William and Kate were quietly closing a chapter of their lives. Back in 2022, they had moved their family from London to Adelaide Cottage in Windsor, hoping for something calmer. London had its advantages, but it also came with constant noise, attention, and pressure. Windsor promised green space, routine, and a more grounded upbringing for Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. The children started attending Lambrook School nearby. Kate even spoke openly about how the move gave them balance, saying Windsor offered more space while still being close enough to London for royal duties. At first, Adelaide Cottage felt like the answer. But that house quickly became tied to some of the most difficult moments William and Kate would ever face. Not long after they settled in, Queen Elizabeth passed away. The loss of a grandmother, a monarch, and a stabilizing force in the royal family cast a long shadow. Then came the relentless public storms. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's docuseries dropped, followed by Harry's memoir Spare. Every headline reopened family wounds, replayed private conflicts, and dragged the past into the spotlight. Adelaide Cottage became the backdrop to a period filled with tension, grief, and scrutiny. And then, the following year brought even heavier news. In early 2024, King Charles announced his cancer diagnosis. Just weeks later, Kate shared her own health battle with the public. Two life-altering revelations, back-to-back, shook the family to its core. According to royal biographer Sally Bedell Smith, Adelaide Cottage became associated with pain, suffering, and sadness. After so much emotional weight, the idea of staying there likely felt impossible. Sometimes, moving on isn't about upgrading your home. It's about surviving what you've already lived through. That's when Forest Lodge entered the picture. Tucked inside Windsor Great Park, it wasn't presented as a flashy upgrade or a status symbol. It was a reset, a quieter, more controlled environment where the family could finally breathe. Reports suggest this isn't a temporary solution either. Forest Lodge is said to be their forever home, a place they plan to stay even when Prince William eventually becomes king. That detail matters because it signals a long-term shift in how William and Kate see their future. More privacy, more boundaries, more protection for their children. But that new beginning came with rules. Strict ones. Windsor Great Park doesn't allow motorized personal transport. No electric scooters. No habitable arts. For safety and traffic reasons, the roads are reserved for residents, estate workers, and cyclists. It's not a personal restriction aimed at William. It applies to everyone. Still, the irony is hard to ignore. The same move meant to bring peace and stability quietly ended the habit that had made him seem so relatable. The scooter that once helped him race to meetings on time was suddenly off limits. On the surface, it sounds trivial. A scooter ban hardly feels like breaking news. But dig a little deeper and it becomes symbolic. As William steps closer to the crown, even small freedoms begin to disappear. The casual moments, the shortcuts, the things that made life feel normal. Power doesn't always mean choice. In fact, sometimes it means the opposite. The closer he gets to becoming king, the more his world narrows, shaped by rules, optics, and responsibility. That's what makes this story resonate. It's not really about transportation. It's about transition, about a man slowly moving from being a relatable prince to a future monarch whose life is defined by structure. The scooter wasn't just a hobby. It was a glimpse into a version of William that felt accessible. And now, quietly, that version is fading. In the end, Forest Lodge represents safety, healing, and a fresh start. But it also represents the reality of royal life. Even harmless habits have an expiration date. And sometimes, the smallest sacrifices reveal the biggest truths about what it really costs to wear the crown.